Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's the CD guy, Johnny Z here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. And today, I'm going to be counting down the top 10 greatest rock and metal bassists of all time. We kick off the list here with my number 10. I'm going to go with Gene Simmons from Kiss. And, while Gene might not be the best player here from a technical perspective, I do think he's a really unique and exceptional bassist. In particular, two awesome Gene Simmons bass performances that immediately come to mind. I got to think about the awesome bass riff on Naked City from Unmasked. Just a great Gene Simmons track with a super heavy, crunchy Gene Simmons bass riff. And also the bass line on Deuce is really cool as well. And, it's really interesting to me to go through the Kiss catalog and just pick apart the Gene Simmons bass parts because he is such a unique player, influenced by the likes of the Beatles and the Everly Brothers and Dennis Dunaway from the original Alice Cooper group. So some really interesting influences there as well. And like I said, probably not the best from a technical perspective, but I really do enjoy Gene Simmons' work. So he's got to be on the list here somewhere. So kicking us off here with number 10, I'm going to go with Gene Simmons from Kiss. Next at number 9, I'm going to go with David Ellefson, formerly of Megadeth, and the man behind one of the most iconic and instantly recognizable bass intros of all time. And that, of course, is the intro to Peace Sells, But Who's Buying, the incredible title track to this album right here. And David Ellefson and his playing throughout the entire Megadeth catalog in which he performs on is consistent throughout. I think he's one of the best thrash metal bassists, and it's going to be really interesting to hear on the next Megadeth album, The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, whether or not David Ellefson's absence is noticeable. Right, he was removed from the band, and his bass parts were removed as well and re-recorded, but it'll be interesting to hear on the new album when it does finally come out whether or not his characteristic playing no longer being on the album does leave a void, a noticeable absence where his playing was. That's going to be interesting to me, but that remains to be said right now. The album is not out, and at this point, I wouldn't even believe if the album's coming out this year, the way it's been pushed back like crazy, but nonetheless, I'm getting off topic. Coming in at number 9 here on the list, one of the best thrash metal bassists of all time, David Ellefson. Following that up with number 8, I'm going to go with Cliff Williams from AC/DC, and in a band like AC/DC, which is very guitar-heavy and guitar-driven, it's really easy for Cliff Williams to kind of be overshadowed and fly under the radar, but I think he's a criminally underrated bassist, and a huge part of what makes the AC/DC rhythm section so fantastic. I love his style of playing. It's nothing fancy, but it gets the job done, and that's pretty indicative of the entire AC/DC sound. They're very raw and very stripped down. One of the reasons why I love the band, and I think that Cliff Williams' playing is extremely underrated, being that he does get overshadowed by Angus Young on guitar, but nonetheless, a fantastic bassist and definitely deserving of some recognition here. So coming in at number 8, I'm going to go with Cliff Williams from AC/DC. Coming in at number 7, I'm going to go with Les Claypool from the band Primus, a very unique bassist, best known for mixing several different styles of playing, such as tapping, whammy bar bending, and slapping to create a very unique style, and heavily influenced by Geddy Lee from Rush. And a funny story about Les Claypool, he actually auditioned to join Metallica when they were searching for a new bassist in the mid-'80s, and that would have been very interesting to hear Metallica with Les Claypool on bass, but that never came to fruition. But what an interesting turn of events that would have been. But nonetheless, coming in at number 7 here on the list, Les Claypool from Primus. The number 6 spot here on the list goes to the late great John Entwistle from The Who, who unfortunately passed away in 2002, but left behind an incredible legacy in which he influenced so many future bass players to pick up a bass. He was an extremely powerful player who would often compete nightly with Pete Townshend for who could be louder on stage. He maximized every bit of his sound by creating several different tones, by alternating between using a pick and his fingers to play bass, which is very unique, one very unique thing about his playing, and regarded by many as one of the greatest bassists of all time, definitely one of the best from the rock genre, and I would definitely agree with that. So coming in at number 6 here on the list, the late great John Entwistle from The Who. Breaking into the top 5 now, coming in at number 5, I'm going to go with Geddy Lee from Rush, and somebody who would probably be a lot closer to the number 1 spot, probably be in the top 3 if I was just talking about classic rock bassists and I wasn't incorporating the metal genre into this list as well. But because I'm talking about rock and metal, I'm going to put him at number 5 here on the list. But an incredible bassist and also the lead singer and keyboardist for Rush as well. A very unique sounding vocalist and also a very unique bassist. And something cool and unique about his playing, I really love the usage of high treble in his playing, and the way he treats the bass as almost the lead instrument in the band is very interesting to me as well. I think that's really cool, and regarded by many as one of the greatest bassists of all time. I would definitely agree with that. So kicking off the top 5 here with my number 5 pick, I'm going to go with Geddy Lee from Rush. For number 4, how about Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath? For me personally, I think Geezer Butler is the unsung hero of Black Sabbath because when Tony Iommi was performing all those excellent guitar solos, Geezer was the one carrying the entire rhythm section on his back, holding the songs together, and I think that that's pretty admirable. Some excellent playing on a number of timeless Black Sabbath tracks, and an awesome lyricist as well, writing some awesome Sabbath lyrics for some of their greatest hits. And, also, who can forget the incredible bass playing on tracks like NIB and the awesome bass line on Heaven and Hell. Just incredible stuff there by Geezer Butler, one of the best in the heavy metal genre and one of the pioneers for heavy metal bassists. So, coming in at number 4 here, gotta go with Geezer Butler from Black Sabbath. Top 3 now, and coming in at number 3, I'm going to go with the guy behind me, and that is Lemmy from Motorhead. And, you know, one thing really unique about Lemmy's sound is that he would tune his bass to sound like a guitar, which was a huge attribute in what made Motorhead sound so unique. I think the way that he tuned his bass is what made Motorhead sound so iconic as well, made it different from everybody else. And Motorhead, and Lemmy in general, is so influential to so many musicians, not just bassists, but Lemmy influenced so many musicians out there in the heavy metal genre, too many to count, right? But all in all, one of the best bassists out there, and if this was a list of top 10 most unique bassists, I think Lemmy would absolutely have to come in at number 1, but he's going to be number 3 here on the list here today, cracking the top 3, Lemmy Kilmister from Motorhead. Up next at number 2, I'm going to go with Cliff Burton from Metallica, and Cliff Burton would unfortunately pass away in 1986 on the Master of Puppets tour, but I think his unique style of playing on the first few Metallica albums is a huge part of what makes those albums so special and iconic. That's just my opinion, but I know that a lot of people would agree with that sentiment as well, and Cliff had a very unique style of playing. You know, he played his bass like a guitar, and he had a very high-octane style, very much influenced by the likes of Lemmy by Motorhead, who also used to play his bass like a guitar, Geddy Lee from Rush, and Butler as well from Black Sabbath, and some of the best Cliff Burton bass performances out there. You have to think about Anesthesia Pulling Teeth off their debut album here, Kill 'Em All, a great instrumental that really highlights Cliff Burton's ability on bass, and also the intro to For Whom the Bell Tolls off their second album, Ride the Lightning. There's an incredible bass intro there by Cliff Burton, and For Whom the Bell Tolls is one of my all-time favorite Metallica songs, and I think that intro does have a lot to do with that. You know, Cliff Burton, one of the all-time best, who unfortunately passed away way too soon, but coming in at number 2 here on the list here today, I gotta go with Cliff Burton, the late great Cliff Burton from Metallica. Before we get to my number 1 pick here, I do have a handful of honorable mentions that I want to give some special recognition to, so honorable mentions go to Jimmy Bain from Dio and Rainbow, Jason Newsted from Metallica, Paul McCartney from the Beatles, Dee Dee Ramone from the Ramones, and Duff McKagan from Guns N' Roses. All fantastic bassists, but I can only fit 10 on the list. And my pick for the best rock and metal bassist of all time, I gotta go with Steve Harris from Iron Maiden. And, you know, for followers of my channel, this probably wasn't very surprising because Iron Maiden is my all-time favorite band, and I decided to show Power Slave here because I think that some of the best Steve Harris bass parts are on Power Slave. You know, got an incredible bass on Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight. You know, Power Slave as well, and who could forget the awesome bass line on Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, the epic to close things out. You know, Steve Harris is one of the best, and so important to the overall Iron Maiden sound is Steve Harris on bass. The bass is so pronounced, and that's what makes Maiden different. Steve Harris, very much influenced by prog rock bassists out there, and I think that's very crucial to the Iron Maiden sound as well. You know, a super talented guy, having the pleasure of seeing Iron Maiden live several times, I can tell you that Steve Harris is just as excellent in a live setting as he is in the studio. An incredible bassist, and definitely deserving of the number 1 spot here on my list. My all-time favorite rock and metal bassist. Gotta go out to Steve Harris here from Iron Maiden. So that wraps up my list of top 10 all-time best rock and metal bassists, which should be visible right over here. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel down below. Help me reach my goal of 400 subscribers here on YouTube. Turn on the bell for notifications to be notified of a new upload. And let me know in the comments below. Did you agree with my list? Did you disagree with my list? What picks did you have added? And who are some of your all-time favorite bassists? I'd love to know your opinions down in the comments, so please leave a comment down below. Share your opinions. I'd be very interested in hearing what you guys have to say. And until next time, it's the CD guy, Johnny Z, signing off. Take care, everybody.